sustainability, I think, has several dimensions, right? There is producing enough food over a long period of time. There's making sure that livelihoods are sustained. But then there's also sustaining, and I would say regenerating the productive resource and making sure that we can produce for generations to come. And a large part of this is adapting to the many changes that are coming to our system, right? So we've got global change in terms of climate. We have market volatility, and we also have emerging challenges due to pest resistance. And I would say that our research is about de-risking the future, kind of thinking into the future. What are emerging challenges? How can we take what we're doing right now and either adapt or extend it into a more sustainable future?
In the context of the food system, how do you define sustainability?
Sustainability is a tough one. I was just talking to a class about this yesterday, saying in general, I think what people mean by sustainability is that production system using no more resources than can be replaced. So is it kind of a net neutrality as far as how many resources are used? Because on the larger scale, if we're consuming resources that can't be replaced, then it's not going to be sustainable. So I think that's generally what people mean. Measuring that in a practical situation is very, very difficult. Because sustainability, I think, can't really be localized. I mean, sure, on my piece of property, I can't produce enough food to sustain myself. But I'm really not being asked to do that. So it has to be large enough to really be able to look at that system, that area, that geography, and then start to understand, are there enough resources here that can sustain that production? Self-sustaining is just very, very difficult, whether it's humans or animals.
So what is a sustainable food system?
Isn't that a great and impossible to answer question? At least impossible. To ramble a bit, I have had the great opportunity to participate with a couple of companies that are very deep in the sustainability system, and also very, very happy to be on the leading harvest board, probably the largest in the U.S., clearly the largest effort to come up with sustainable standards for food production, very farmer-centric to some degree, system of standards that lets you self-report and measure and figure out if you're making progress towards something. But I gave a talk a couple of years in a row at this fairly large audience, and the first year I asked everybody to take out a piece of their recycled paper in the book with the Apple-based wooden pen that they got at check-in and write down their definition of sustainable. And then I collected them all up and made a word cloud and brought it back the next year and asked them to answer again without telling them that I was making a word cloud. And in that 1 year period, people's definition of sustainable went from being able to recreate the system that they used without, reducing the quantity of production would be what I think was the original definition, to a much more holistic, to include, not creating damage elsewhere, and to extend that thought across other layers in the food system. My personal version is pretty simple. Within the economic system that's going on, to not diminish the ability to continue, repeat, or provide at least as much to the participants going forward. After looking at a couple of these word clouds for a couple of years and trying to get away from words like environment or quality or water or equity or diversity or extend, things that require some other degree of judgment, just simply letting those elements work out into the decision that it's continuing, and we have to continue to be able to do something for the participants in the system.
I think sustainability means we should not sacrifice the future generation. I mean, you can do whatever you want to do it, but we shouldn't sacrifice the future. I mean, they are going to struggle. I'm talking about, 20 years from now, DK is not going to driving. I'm not going to worry about the energy, right? But you guys be 30 to 40, you guys are going to be really, really heavily on, rely on energy. if our generation, current generation messing up, you guys can't use any more energy and the environment is too crazy, yeah, that's not sustainable. I think there's a lot of different definition of the generation to generation sustainability change, but my sustainability definition is, my current wealth of life is, or my activity should not sacrifice any of the future generation. I think as we are going this way, people's going to be struggle.
Yeah.
I think all the climate change and everything, and then energy is also, if we don't work right now, what are we going to do? How are we going to help the future generation to do that stuff?
In summary, sustainability is complex to define and measure. We have many current issues and emerging issues around people, profit, and planet in the food system. And finally, we are examining the ways that we work towards solving complex issues in sustainability and the food system.